Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I Man here from the Block Runner, and today we're going to be talking about Polkadot and the Parachain offerings.
Trying to make sense of like this impending, I don't even know what to call this, dude. It's just like one of the bigger events looming on the horizon, you know what I mean, in the
Yeah.
crypto.
So Polkadot is going to be doing these Parachain offerings, which allows projects to onboard onto the network and thereby taking advantage of Polkadot's offerings, which is interoperability and security on the network. But first, it seems like they're going to be launching on Kusama, which is why Kusama's blasting off at this point. So in a week, it's
Yeah.
done basically a 2x.
Yeah, Kusama no longer can be like ignored, or not even ignored, just thought of as some kind of like chaotic like WTF land, like total uncertainty.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's becoming standard already in the Polkadot ecosystem to every project we've seen, or at least our attention, like clued in on, they already have plans, to create like a mirror copy of their own project on the Kusama network. So if we're gonna get a true understanding of like the potential, all the benefits as far as like throughput and security and whatnot of Polkadot, we're gonna have to witness it on Kusama first. So I think a lot of people aren't anticipating that. That's what's driving up this ridiculous price run we've been seeing. It's gonna create like an alternate ecosystem that comes before Polkadot that should allow people to create some kind of value before Polkadot is ready to be launched. So this is gonna be interesting to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah. So there's stages to this. It's going
Yeah,
to start off on the Rococo testnet, which is Polkadot's actual testnet.
yeah.
And then once the testing has been completed and it's been audited and fully benchmarked, then it's going to go to the Kusama network.
Hmm.
And so the way that you get onboarded is through these candle auctions, and a candle auction is basically kind of started from that era where they lit a candle and they let the auction take place, and nobody ever knew when the candle would actually give out, which would end the auction.
Yeah.
And so this encouraged the most serious bids for this particular auction.
I guess they must have hid the candle, eh? Like put the candle behind like a freaking
They could have
wall.
just like displayed it, because you never really know when a candle is like about to give out. I mean, you kind of have an idea, but you don't really know.
Doesn't it like go out when as soon as the wax is gone or something, or no?
No, when the wick is gone.
The wick.
Yeah.
Okay. So you never really know. You're right.
Yeah, you never really know. And so they took that idea and they applied it to Kusama's and Polkadot's auction. And
I,
apparently there's an actual end date. Once that end date occurs, they're going to pick a random point between the end date, it could be a day or a couple of hours before, and pick
Mhm.
a random date, and that's going to be the actual end date. And then whoever bid the highest would actually get onto Kusama.
So this is to prevent. What is this to prevent? For sure, like
It's to
auction
prevent.
sectors, right? Like
Yeah,
people,
exactly.
like like on
Snipers.
eBay, pretty much an auction platform is like common practice to see like in the last 5 seconds of an auction, that's when
That's
all the
right.
big bids come in. They're trying to secure
That's
that
right.
slot. So they definitely thought out this auction process very, very thoroughly. That's what impresses me most about Polkadot is how structured and organized everything is. It's one of the most complex like ecosystems I've seen so far. So they're really like taking their time with things. If people are like waiting impatiently, like, man, what the fuck? Like, what's taking Polkadot so long? We got Binance Smart Chain over there chugging along, like taking all
Yeah.
the market share. Like, what are we waiting for? Well, the thing is, like, they're, like I said, they're taking their time.
They're actually
They're
trying
not
to
getting,
do it right. Yeah.
yeah, they're trying to do it right, man. So these are all good signs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and auctions will continue from here on rolling basis, and it looks like there's going to be an auction taking place roughly every single 2 weeks. There's 100 slots up for grabs, and between each slot, there's going to be a 2 week waiting period. So I
So
guess it,
that's interesting, man.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
whenever we first heard about the 100 slot deal, in my mind, I was like, is there really going to be any real competition if there's 100? Like it
yeah,
seemed like a lot, but now that this 2 week cooldown period in between slot deployment is like now all of a sudden we got this new demand,
yeah.
right? Like demand to be early, basically. Because if you're not, you're going to be waiting around for a while.
That's right. Yeah, and that kills your business, and
Potentially,
you
yeah.
can't
You
wait that long.
you could be getting hammered by a project who pretty much does a similar service as to your project, but if they secure a Parachain slot before you do, they're going to have a bigger opportunity to onboard more users before you do, and create that network effect. So it's going to be all about seeing who's first, because seeing which projects are Parachains in the beginning, because they're going to have the highest likelihood of generating that network effect.
And another interesting thing about this is that these are 2 year leases, or up to 2 year 2-year leases. So you could win a Parachain slot, but you're only on that network for a maximum of 2 years.
Yeah.
After that point, you have to, I think, extend or pay for another length of time on the Polkadot network. And so you're not on the network forever, which I think that allows for projects that fail to get offboarded and I guess relieve some activity from the network and get that project off, just disconnected from the network. So that makes sense. So they're even thinking about like maintaining the network from that standpoint, that there's a project that nobody's using it, but it's using up resources. So let's just kick them off every 2 years, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and then it says Polkadot rollout and slot auctions. It looks like, yeah, so it just talks about the candle auctions. And one thing that I saw here is that after that, it can vote to begin slot auctions and to add any common good parachains. So let's speculate what that could mean. Perhaps this means that there's a project out there that benefits security or benefits some level of infrastructural resource that needs to be added to the network. And I guess they have the ability to add common good parachains, at least by vote.
That's what's so like difficult to wrap my head around. Just like, it's just so subjective, right? But I guess all governing decisions are. So that's the point of governance in the first place, right? Like there has to be a consensus. At some point, the community has to agree and disagree on things. So I guess, like for instance, there's like a multitude of projects all working on like cross-chain compatibility, like within Polkadot, because that's kind of like the golden goose, right? Like who could figure out how to bridge Ethereum ecosystem to Polkadot ecosystem? And there's probably more than a couple of handfuls of projects working on that very thing.
Right.
Which one does the community decide to create a common good chain? You know, like this is our utility parachain that facilitates that bridges that for the whole network. You know?
Yeah, and it ultimately comes down to a vote. So if it gets voted in, then it's technically a common good.
Yeah, I mean, if the network agrees on it, then it is what it is, you know? And
so I guess the question is, what happens to a project when it gets offboarded, when the lease is up? So what happens is that project goes onto a parathread. So it's essentially the same thing as a Polkadot network, other than the fact that they have to pay per use, essentially, probably on a monthly basis. But they still leverage the whole network, but it's cheaper and they hog less of the resources. All right, so let's take a look at this.
So all this article says is, you know, basically sums up what we kind of just went over, but it kind of explains that the testnet currently is having some issues, and people are speculating that this might put a delay on the rollout of these parachain options. But somewhere in here is Gavin's words saying that it wouldn't.
Given the 1-month interval until Polkadot deployment, then declared by Gavin, will be expectedly see dot auctions launching quite soon. Okay.
So it says that the latest updates to the Rococo testnet are indicating the necessity of further amendments to the technology. There's some issues like on the current stage we're at right now, you know, and that's to be expected. That's the reason why it's the testnet, right? They're trying to crank out all these bugs and issues.
Yeah, it says right here, it says optimistic about the timeline of the Polkadot parachain launch, even though the latest updates to the Rococo testnet are indicating the necessity of further amendments to the technology. So continuing, offered a view of potential timelines once the Kusama launch is complete. So essentially, you're right. I mean, they're discovering some issues with the Rococo testnet, and but Gavin is still optimistic about rolling out on Kusama and making sure everything is correct by then.
Yeah, unfortunately, like we don't really have like hard dates, but I think that's the thing. Like once we get past this Rococo testnet phase, I think it kind of like is up to individual projects how they want to campaign themselves, you know, with their parachain offerings. There's no like industry standard. No parachain offering is going to mimic one another, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, so we kind of don't understand that structure yet. We know there's projects like Akala, you know, the big ones, they're probably going to be like the pioneers of these campaigns. So the best thing to do is to actually stay engaged with those communities, meaning like being in their Discord, be in their Telegram, you know, be subscribed to their Twitter accounts. Just make sure whatever details they have rolling out in regards to these campaigns, you're paying attention to, you know?
Right. All right, that covers sort of everything we want to talk about today. Parachain offerings are coming soon. First is going to be with Kusama, and then later on with Dot. And yeah, let us know what you think about Polkadot and their ecosystem. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner and also at MetaZone.io. And like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, just let us know what you think, and we'll see you in the next video.
All right, peace out.